News this evening. Rice farmers in Rivers State take steps to mitigate effect of flooding. Director NYC in Rivers State, George Mfongang, hails scheme achievement since inception. Security expert reacts to murder of former UPTH staff Boma Amaomu Jumbo by a former security guard. Federal government says about 52,436 inmates at correctional centers are awaiting trial. Court fixes dates to deliver judgment on ASU federal government and for accuses South Africa of providing to Following the prediction of flooding in Rivers State, farmers have taken precautionary measures to mitigate the effect of the flooding on their crops. The chairman of rice farmers in Rivers State, Godwin Akandu, said this while speaking to our correspondent. He said farmers in the state have been advised to plant crops with a gestation period of 3 months.
The issue of flood is not what you can ask a poor farmer to handle, but in our little way, we have to take a precautive measure. Measure in the sense that we advise our farmers to go in for those crops that has the gestation period of 3 months, not annual crops like cassava that will stay up to a year. If not, some of those things will get spoiled.
Mr. Akando also appealed to the state government to assist farmers to mitigate the effect of the flooding.
We need tractors, we need bulldozers, we also need financial assistance to some of these victims to return to farm. Now you can see the cost of Gary. Gary is now being sold at 10,000 naira per basin because most of our farms last year perished in the flood, and the cost of inputs like fertilizers and agrochemicals. We need subsidies, government to subsidize it. When these things are subsidized, there will be more production.
Ahead of the 50th anniversary of the National Youth Service Corps, the NYC Director in Rivers State, George Mfongang, said the scheme has achieved its goal of reconciliation, reconstruction, and rebuilding. Speaking on Nigeria Info's Morning Crossfire, Mr. Mfongang said activities at the camp have been modernized to foster unity and Nigeria's cultural diversity.
NYC is really an agency of government that you say 50 years ago set up and is still there, surviving, fostering national unity and integration. NYC has been able to build cohesion among people. You see people from young people from different backgrounds coming to the same camp, working together, and you see the way the NYC work. We form them into platoon. We go further, even in the hostel, the way we arrange the hostel, arrange core members, we try to ensure that they reflect national unity. Make sure that you find people of every other state in the same hostel.
The NYC scheme was created on the 22nd of May 1973 in the bid to reconstruct, reconcile and rebuild the country after the Nigerian Civil War. Police said they are investigating the killing of the former Director of Administration at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, Boma Amaomu Jumbo, by a former security guard. Spokesperson of the Rivers State Police Command, SP Grace Oringo Koko, said the former security guard, identified as John Danjuma, attacked Mrs. Boma at a residence in Jari axis of Port Harcourt on Tuesday night. She said the suspect has been detained in the State Criminal Investigation Department. It was guarded that Danjuma is already standing trial for allegedly stealing a property while working as a security guard. Late Mrs. Boma was expected to testify against the suspect in court before the incident. The former security guard, who was caught by neighbors while trying to escape with some items from the residence, confessed to the crime.
Throughout today, I never eat anything. Only mineral water. I saw her kitchen there. Because me and she will have fish with people. And our German is coming next to me. Because they promised me about $10,000. And that money I did not stay.
Meanwhile, security expert Aliyu Tanimu says hiring a security guard requires the service of a certified security company and not neighbors and relatives. Mr. Tanimu, retired DSS personnel, said this in an interview with correspondent Emeka Otukawa reacting to the killing of a woman by a former security guard in Port Harcourt. He said employers expose themselves to risk by engaging the services of security guards through recommendations from relatives and friends instead of a security company.
Well, this very problem is a very huge problem here in Nigeria. In advanced countries, we have institutions, in fact, even private institutions, that set themselves up to become intermediary to provide this kind of service. So what they do is they do the basic investigation, what we call vetting, and train them up, and people come to them to hire them. But here, anybody can come from any other place, and because they pay from the clients is not too good, the people will not want to go to the company because of the company may pay them more and will likely go to do a kind of private arrangement. If you go to and establish a registered private company, the risk will be shared. A kind of, if something happens, first person you hold responsible is the security company, because according to their act, they share part of the responsibility.
Mr. Tanimu also said the certified security company also serves as guarantors in case of any criminal offense.
Every security personnel from a company is expected to have been vetted, and the security company that is giving that person is supposed to serve as a guarantor to vouch for the integrity of the person they are giving out. And I've been involved in recruiting people for most security companies as a consultant. And before we recruit them, we also ask them to bring their guarantors. So when issues like this happen, you go through this very chain, bring the guarantors into the picture before even the prosecution. You don't just carry the person straight and go.
In other news, the paramount ruler of Imbiama community in Outer West Local Government Area of River State, Otavio Silvano, says the Nigerian army has apologized after disrupting the peaceful protest by the community. Speaking with our correspondent, Otavio Silvano said the elderly women who were Otavio Silvano said the elderly women were injured and properties destroyed by personnel of the Nigerian Army during yesterday's peaceful protest against the bad state of the outer axis of the East-West Road.
Our boys on the protest, they conducted themselves in a very good manner, and the protest was going on peacefully before the JTF, which is the army, come and destroy the peaceful demonstration, which most of the people sustained so much injury. The community property were damaged, the canopy and chairs, everything was damaged. Most women, that are old women, they were also injured, but the protest was very peaceful. The road users, they also joined the protest. Federal government need to fix their road.
The paramount ruler also warned that if the federal government fails to mobilize contractors to the site as promised, the community will resume their protest on the road.
As of yesterday, the call come from the Ministry of Works and said the road has been awarded to a company, which the company, they have already mobilized the company, and as soon as possible, the company will be coming to site. We wish that what they said should come to reality and finish up the job. But if they refuse to do that, then there is no option for the community to come out in under protest, and that if that the protest that the community will come this time around will not leave the road, or they will mobilize that company on site on that particular day before Imbiama community will leave the road.
Yesterday, the youth-led protests saw hundreds of residents take to the streets, blocking major roads and causing traffic disruptions, leaving communities stranded. The protesters, including women with placards, demanding the immediate intervention of the federal government over the bad state of the road. The road connects several states, including Rivers, Delta, Edo, and Lagos. In spite of the choice of Senator Godswill Akpabio's APC choice for the position of Senate President, Senator-elect Eteng Williams is insisting that he will support any candidate that has the interests of his state at heart. Senator-elect Eteng Williams spoke with correspondent Oyekachi Wosu. Eteng, who is currently the Speaker of the Cross River State House of Assembly, said the party should allow lawmakers to choose their leaders.
I'm not a member of the NWC. They have their reasons. They say they've done their consultations. For me, I can speak for myself, which is whatever the party decision is known to us. But I view and also look at the candidates by what they present to me, what I've heard them say. And when I ask them questions, you must talk to me, you must have a conversation with me for me to be able to append and say, no, I'm voting for this candidate. Because as you come to me, I talk about my faith. Whatever you have for my faith, put it on this table. Let's discuss and know. So if you have the interest of my faith and my people, I go with you. Let the politics continue so that you are not appointing people as forming an executive council. It should come from us.
The chief whip of the Senate and aspirant to the position of the Senate President, Ojo Uzokalo, has advised the APC not to zone the leadership of the National Assembly based on the number of votes each zone contributed to the victory of the President-elect Bola Tinubu. Kalu gave the advice after meeting with the NWC of the party today. He said giving every part of the country a pie makes the country beautiful. Still ahead. Court fixes day to deliver judgment on ASU federal government case. Stay tuned as we go for a quick break. Thank you for staying tuned. Welcome back. The federal government says about 52,436 inmates of the correctional centers nationwide are awaiting trial. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Interior, Shaib Belga, who stated this in Abuja today, explained that while 23,071 are convicted persons, 3,322 are condemned inmates on death row. He said the government will spend 22.44 billion naira in the 2023 budget on the feeding of 75,507 inmates in correctional centers nationwide. The National Emergency Management Agency says over 2,246 Nigerians have been evacuated in 12 different flights from the war-torn Sudan. This was contained in a statement by the head press unit NEMA, Manzo Ezekiel, in Abuja on Thursday. Ezekiel said the agency has dispatched assorted food items to cater for stranded Nigerians that are awaiting airlift in Sudan. The National Industrial Court has fixed May 30 to deliver judgment in the suit filed by the federal government against the Academic Staff Union of Universities. In the suit, the federal government dragged ASU before the court to determine the substantive suit filed during the 2022 ASU's 8-month strike. Now in business. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria has warned the federal government against selective implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The president of Pengasin, Comrade Festus Osifo, gave the warning in Abuja today. He said the government must set up the host communities development funds immediately. Entertainment. Disney has announced plans to combine content from its Disney Plus and Hulu streaming services in the US. The move comes after Disney Plus lost 4 million subscribers in the first 3 months of the year. In sports, Leeds United manager Sam Allardyce says their fear of relegation should motivate his team to fight as they prepare to host Newcastle United on Saturday. With 3 matches remaining, Leeds sits 19th in the Premier League table, 2 points from safety.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
The U.S. envoy to South Africa, Ruben Brigetti, has accused the country of supplying weapons to Russia despite its professed neutrality in the war in Ukraine. Ambassador Brigetti told local media he was confident that Russian ship was loaded with ammunition and weapons in Cape Town last December. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa said his government was looking into the claims. On the news this evening, you heard rice farmers in Rivers State have taken steps to mitigate the effect of flooding on their crops. The NYC director in Rivers State, George Mfongang, has hailed the scheme's achievements since its inception. Security expert reacts to murder of former UPTH staff Vuma Amamu Jumbo by a former security guard. The federal government says about 52,436 inmates at the correctional centers are awaiting trial. The National Industrial Court is to deliver judgment on ASU federal government matter on the 30th of May. On the foreign scene, U.S. envoy in South Africa, Ruben Brigetti, has accused South Africa of providing military support to Russia. The news was edited by Onyekachi Wosu. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this evening. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I am Kala Dakuru Batabo. Good evening.
Stay on track back with Nigeria in